No, we can always come back to it later if anybody thinks of anything they'd like to say. But we'll, if it's okay with you, Andy, we'll have your training now. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you want me to share the slides for you? Yeah.
Yeah, go on in, and I'll get straight in because I'm conscious you want to do yours, and we've got not a huge amount of time, so you go for it.
Take as long as you like. I don't want you to rush, but you know.
No, I won't. I won't.
It means we go over by 5 minutes. It's fine.
Right, slideshow. Here you go. Let's go for it.
Is that right? Can everybody see
that?
Slide?
Yeah, that's perfect. I'll get you to change the slides as we go through.
Yeah.
This is I came across this handout from back in the day when we had our previous business, and it's years and years and years old. And I had a look at it again. I was aware of it, and I had a look at it again. I thought it's so relevant to what we're doing now. And it's something called the reasons curve, and everybody goes through the reasons curve. I think it's called the reasons curve because it's the reasons why things happen in your journey. But if anybody knows different, tell me, because I've often wondered, you know, it's an odd sort of name, but I think it's the reasons why. It's the roller coaster, if you like, of their business. And it happens to everybody from day one all the way through, even if you've been in the industry for 30 odd years. Everybody constantly goes through, especially in the early days, goes through the reasons curve. So I was just going to go through the different points and how to get through the reasons curve, because some of you might find that helpful. Some of you might think you're on somewhere on this curve right now. So Adele, if you can flick on the next slide, that's cool. So there's the reasons curve. So there's an excitement phase, particularly when you get started, everything's fantastic. There's a self-doubt moment, and then you hit the pits, and then you can make a choice of either quitting or fighting, and fighting towards success. So let's go through the individual bits. So if you come on the next one for me, Adele. Right, the excitement phase. Apologies if you think it's your eyes. This is all the slides are a little bit blurry, so you don't need glasses. But the excitement phase is normally at the beginning, and you make a decision to come on board. It looks fantastic. You'll do everything it takes to be a success, and you know you're going to benefit from this opportunity, and you can actually begin to see what you want from this. So this is where your sort of future goals and dreams and aspirations kick in. So you're really excited about getting involved. So that's the excitement phase, and that might last a few days, it might last a few weeks, and everybody starts the journey really in this excitement phase. So if you can do the next one, Adele. But we come to a point where at some point you doubt if the opportunity is for you because of all sorts of reasons. A couple of reasons here. So this is when you begin to have little nagging doubts. So it's the self-doubt phase. So it could be frustration, you're not picking up orders, or you're not sponsoring people, or people aren't interested. You come across people who may be a little bit negative, perhaps there's a lack of commitment if you've got a little team going. So there's lots of different things and you begin to question whether it's really right for you. And I think everybody goes through this at some point. You have this sort of self-doubt. Is this for me? Is it working? I'm not so sure. And that's called the self-doubt phase. But if we go on to the next slide, Adele. But really, that takes us to what we call the pits. And the pits is really when you're at kind of rock bottom. And it's a normal phase for everyone, whether you've been in it 2 or 3 days or a couple of months after getting started. You'll begin to identify when you're in the pits. And this is, bear in mind, this is quite old. So it was back in the day we actually used to go to meetings and go to presentations and things. But you can recognize when you're in the pits, when you actually start to stay away from presentations or Zooms. You'll find excuses or reasons why you don't want to get involved in your business. And you may be thinking about, you attempt to find fault with the opportunity. Maybe the product's not being delivered quick enough for you. The actual company, what I can think you would think of the Oriflame company in terms of fault, I don't know, but you'll start to find something wrong with all sorts of things. Maybe even something wrong with your sponsor. They're not giving me enough support and help. You start finding the reasons why you should actually quit the business. Now, when you get at this stage, you've got to start making some decisions. So if you kick on to the next one, Adele, this is where you're at the fight stage. You've got a choice. You either quit or you fight. So at the fight stage, you keep going and you'll succeed in spite of all those negative people, negative friends, relatives, despite all the little question mark and the little questions going on in your head. But you can cure the pits by working on your dreams, your goals. Um, Keep an eye on your goals. This is where it's so important when you're in this sort of pit stage, is to reflect on why you're doing the business. But one of the biggest things that will get you out of it is plugging into positive environments. So definitely joining on the Zooms, speaking to your sponsor, your upline, talk to people, get on at least one Zoom a week, if not more. All those things associating with positive people, all those things will quickly get you out of the pits. And once you made that decision and you start fighting back, then it's amazing what happens. And suddenly you take off onto the success stage. This will happen over and over and over again when you're in this type of business. And it's a roller coaster, but the trick is beginning to identify at the self-doubt point that you're going into the pits, and then do something about it. Because what happens is, once you work out your way of getting out of the pits, and you do that really quickly, you move on to the fight stage and then on to success. So it's moving in and out of the pits and then moving on through the fight stage onto success. And it's just really thinking about it and being aware of it. I've now got this on my wall chart since I found it, and I'm aware of when sometimes there's a little bit of doubt comes in as to whether we're in the right business, or we're getting what we want out of it. And I quickly work on my goals, the reasons why I'm doing it, and very quickly I move out of the pits and get back into the fight curve, going back up towards success. But it happens to everyone. So if you're aware of it, you can identify it and do things quickly to get you out of that pits. So if you move on to the next one for us, Adele, just finishing off now, and it is on the handout, it says at point 5, remember this: the most important thing to recognize is that everyone goes through the pits. We just said that, even the already successful. Failures take the easy way out and they quit. The successful keep on going and keep their eyes on their dreams, not the obstacles that try to keep them from reaching their goals. Those who make excuses are never successful. Those who are successful never make excuses. We hear this over and over, but it's absolutely true. And the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little bit extra. So it doesn't take a lot, but if you're aware of it, you can quickly work your way out of the pits. If you recognize where you're going, you can get out of it really quickly, and that makes a big difference. And you just get good at getting yourself out of a hole, if you like, and moving on. So I just thought I'd share that with you, because I remembered it from the past, and I thought it was really, really useful, because everybody goes through this, and it doesn't take a lot to get you out of the self-doubt, out of the pits, and then moving on to cracking on with your business. Just finish off with the last slide, Adele. Press that button. There we go. I've actually got this as a handout, and what I'll do is I'll put it on the various groups as a handout. If anybody wants to print it off, they can then put it on the wall, and just be aware of it. Just be aware of it, and just have your way of getting out of the pits to crack on to your next level of success. So hopefully that was just useful. So I'm going to pass you back to Adele. I'm done. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Andy. That was brilliant. Really like that. It's so important that we recognise those different stages, isn't it? And like you say, you're able to do something about it before it's too late if you can recognise the difference.
That's the trick, and you get quicker and quicker getting out the pits every time.
It's like I always remember Jackie White. Was it Jackie White that says "click your fingers" and you've got to snap out of it like really quickly as soon as you recognise that you're starting to go downhill, and just snap your fingers and say, right, that's it, back.
Yeah, it's knowing the signs when you're going into that sort of down bit, and if you recognize that, you can pull yourself back out of it and then crack on.
Yeah, it's the same with absolutely any business, isn't it? Whenever you're working for yourself in any whatever type of business it is, it's gonna be a little bit like a roller coaster, and you'll have ups and downs, and it's just normal. I think that's the main thing to point that you're making there, is it's absolutely normal. It's not just you, it's everybody goes through that. And success isn't a straight line, is it? It's just
I can remember saying that if we could just bottle the highs into a bottle and just sniff it when you're down at the bottom, and just remember that feeling you had when you get to whatever it is your goal is at that moment, just bottle it and remember that feeling. It'll drag you out of the pits.
Yeah, brilliant.
I like that, Andy, because it's not something that we really talk about much, is it? Because we don't like to think that we have our doubts and our down moments and our things. But I love that training, because of course we all do. All right, we don't blast it all over social media when we are, but we still have those moments. I don't care where you are in the business, everybody must. So yeah, that was brilliant, Andy. And like you say, just if anybody on here is feeling like that right now, it's normal, it's okay,
Yeah.
And there's just the steps, you start to recognize it and the steps to get out of it. So yeah, brilliant, Andy, thank you. Really useful.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Right, I'm just going to share my screen now.